Good afternoon. I am Jason Medlock. I'm your host of I'm Woke, and we have a great show for you tonight. We will have Dr. Keisha Johnson on with us tonight, and you're talking about a fabulous show. I'm going to go ahead and bring on my contributor, and my right hand and my left hand and everything else is Tereska Harrison, my sister. Hey, there you go. How you doing, sis?
Hey, brother. How you doing?
We're doing good. Here we are again, episode 9, and we made it. I mean, we got what 3 more episodes to go, and we'll call it a wrap.
We're good for right now, huh? It was wonderful. We've enjoyed it. Wonderful time.
Episode 1, we were talking about our spirituality and our experiences, and kind of what that felt like for each and every one of us. In episode 2, we had a chance to have Chloe Moores on with us, and she brought the whole aspect of channeling. Right. She talked about the channeling, and she talked about how she communicated with animals and how she was really connected with the trees, and Chloe has written 5 books, and she is spectacular.
Beautiful spirit.
And then we brought it on around, and we had was that Michelle Benelia?
Yes.
Yeah, we had Michelle on, and Michelle was absolutely wonderful. She was Michelle spoke on everything you could think of. One of the things I really liked about Michelle was the color therapy that she did.
Yeah.
I just thought that was wonderful, and and then obviously the dynamic Pastor Bridget Goins did a 2-part series over spiritual gifts, and that just really blew a lot of people away. A lot of people loved her.
Yes, she was awesome. Gift of knowledge and discernment and healing, gift of wisdom, just wonderful information.
It was wonderful. It was really wonderful, and then we followed it up last week with the fabulous Dr. Anise Maston, who spoke about being wired to connect and how you connect your life, your journey, whether it's in your personal life and your professional life. How do you wire that to your spiritual purpose?
Yes.
And I really enjoyed
she
that.
Was dynamic. She was just awesome. Wonderful conversation.
She was really awesome. Dr. Keisha Holley Johnson is, she's all of that, and we were going to be treated tonight to one of the top professionals in the field, the clinical psychology field. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and we'll spend some time talking about Dr. Johnson's background. Dr. Keisha Holley Johnson, she's a PhD, and she's licensed in clinical psychologist, and she's a certified Reiki master teacher. And a natural health and wellness consultant for with many years of experience, and she has a passion for her service. A lot of people, Tereska, they get all these accolades, and it's just for show. But being passionate about what you do is very important. She's licensed in the area of clinical psychology by the state of Texas to provide evaluation and treatment. Regulation of this profession is done by the state of Texas, and she's legit, people. She's legit. She's an Akashic record reader. She's a crystal therapist. She's a Reiki master. And without any further ado, we're going to bring on Dr. Johnson, and here she is right now, people. Awesome. Hey there, Dr. Johnson. How are you?
Hi, how are you guys? Thank you so much for having me. Yay for you guys.
Yes. We're at episode 9. This has been a very interesting ride. I've gained some friends, and I've had some friends look at me like, what are you doing? But I've said to myself, I'm doing what is being required of me, and it's to share knowledge and share what I've been experiencing. And I wanted to bring people along so they can sort of enlighten people with all the wonderful gifts, all the wonderful things about spirituality that we experience. And Tereska, you and I talked about that.
Yeah, the same gift that they have as well. So we just really wanted them to realize and not be afraid to talk about something that's God given. So that's what's the awesome part about it, and that's what people need to realize. This is all God given. It's not us giving it. It's God's.
It's God given. It's God.
Congratulations to both of you, because you both are living out your purpose. So,
amen.
Thank you so much.
mm-hmm,
Dr. Johnson,
Thank
you are our guest tonight, and
Yes.
we want now to focus this thing back on you. But
Okay.
you're very interesting, to say the least. You have a decorated background, and we just want to know a little bit more about you. And let's just start from the beginning. Tell us about you, and something that the audience maybe finds intriguing. I don't know, but give us the story on Dr. Johnson.
Okay. Wow. Well, I don't even know how far to go back, but let's just start with, education wise, I'm pretty decorated. I am a Baylor College of Medicine graduate in clinical neuropsychology. I started out working as a clinical director for a mental health facility and got tired of that rat race because I was working about 50, 60 hours a week. And I said I wanted to go ahead and go into private practice, mainly because I wanted to work with my community. I didn't really get that opportunity with some of the other places that I worked. Once opening up my private practice in 2013 and really getting a chance to work with my community, I was struck by the amount of medications and things that people were on, the amount of misdiagnoses I was seeing, and most importantly, they weren't getting healed. If anything, they were getting worse. And so I would work with people doing assessments, doing therapy, and I was noticing that this issue, again, number one, being on all these medications, getting sicker instead of better, and all of the treatments that I was providing was not really helping. It was basically putting a Band-Aid on some of the issues, but these people were not healing. So it started me on a quest for what else can I do? There's got to be something else, because the entire time in my spirit, I was like, there's got to be more. I'm supposed to be doing more, but I don't know what that more is. Right. And that had been going on, honestly, for about 2 years before I even did anything about it. Okay, because then I didn't know what the more was. And I started praying about, okay, God, you got to give me something, because again, I'm trying everything in my know-how to do, but you are infinite. You are infinite knowledge. So start bringing that to me. And that started me on my path for alternative healing. So then I started taking classes and certifications in naturopathic health and wellness. I looked into, again, alternative healing methods like Reiki. So I became a Reiki master, a crystal therapist. You can go on and on and on. But essentially what those things would do was allow me to treat my patients holistically. So the things that I wasn't able to do with just their mental, I was able to work on spiritual things. I also was able to work on physical aspects for them. Not only was that helping them, it was helping me. So it was helping me with my own personal journey. It was allowing me to actually go deeper within myself. And so the deeper I was able to go within myself and heal myself, I was noticing that I was able to share that knowledge with all of my patients. And I started seeing a change in them. And actually, they started healing. Again, I keep putting the emphasis on healing, not just treating or putting a Band-Aid, actually getting better to the point where they didn't need to come back and see me. And that's what you want. You want people to get to a point of healing or wholeness so that they don't need to keep being dependent upon, a system, so to speak.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dr. Keisha Holley Johnson. I am Jason Medlock. This is Tereska Harrison. You're listening to Unwoke. And I didn't mean to interrupt you, Dr. Johnson, but can you tell us this in the beginning? You went to medical school. What inspired you? Who inspired you to take that path?
Oh, that's a great question. So my father actually inspired me. He got into a very bad accident when I was about 12 or 13 years old. And he had to have surgery on his neck. And during that time, he did some what we call cognitive rehabilitation therapy. And he was doing that with a psychologist. And I used to go to the sessions with him. And I was fascinated by what this psychologist, and actually he was a neuropsychologist, was able to do with my dad as far as just his memory and functioning and things like that. And so I actually got interested in neuropsychology, and that's actually what I have my PhD in clinical neuropsychology. And I had to go to medical school in order to complete that. So what neuropsychology is basically the study of brain functioning and how that basically manifests in our behaviors.
Okay, and we already have the guest that's starting to crank it up early. Ozzy Clayton, Miss Clayton says, "Wow, this is right up my alley. I'm grateful for you and what you're doing, Dr. Johnson. Healing over being medicated. How do you respond to that?"
Yeah.
That, you know what, that is exactly what I feel part of my purpose is. And I'll say that, and I, what I'm about to say probably is not going to go over with some people, but I think the westernized way of doing treatment is again about just putting a Band-Aid on things. And that's usually by, putting people on a bunch of medication. And yes, it works. It's able to have people maintain, but they're actually not getting better. They're just maintaining. And so that's why I said it's just basically been my mission to find ways to heal. Okay. And so that means, again, looking at the person holistically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically, and treating all of those things, because any physical manifestation has something to do with a spiritual or emotional problem.
And as we dig, and Trust, I don't want to interrupt you, but when you unpack that, any illness has to do with a spiritual and or emotional problem. Mm-hmm. But in which past life? And see, I don't know if I should go there.
You're going there too early.
I'm gonna go there too early. I want to go there too early. But Trust, you go ahead.
I was, because I wanted to go back, and for me, when I was young, I kind of knew that there was a connection. I had some kind of connection with something outside. I just always knew that there was some type of pulling in my spirit to a grounding thing. So which kind of made me see that I was kind of woke. So tell me, when did you experience your woke period, your woke time?
You guys are really hitting me here. Let's see. Well, I would have to say, it was probably around that same time when I was realizing that my patients weren't getting better. They weren't getting better to a certain extent. And that whole feeling of there's more for me to do, meaning that there's more to me. Okay. There's more for me to do. There's more to me. There's more depth to me. And so that probably occurred around 2014, 2015 for me. So this is relatively recent, if you want to think about it in terms of years. But what I realized is I could only take my patients so far because I was only so far. I had to, again, do a deeper journey into myself in order to take people along with me. Okay.
And it's interesting how we do that. It's almost at a point of when we hit a brick wall. When we hit a wall is when we kind of look inside, go within.
Absolutely. And you hit a key phrase there, going within, because you realize that those external things are no longer bringing satisfaction to you. Or you might have everything in the world. I mean, I have a great life. I had a great life, but I still was like, I'm not that happy. There's got to be something else. There's something more. Because again, knowing that there's more to me, that actually I'm very, very expansive. And if I'm expansive, that means I have access to this infinite knowledge, this infinite being. What else can I do to bring this back into this realm and help people and show people, the way?
Wow.
Dr. Johnson, we touched when we were in the back room. We touched a little bit on food, and can you talk a little bit about, or do you incorporate the practice of what types of high vibratory food with the holistic health? Can you just kind of expand on food and how that whole thing plays a process?
Absolutely. So again, like I was saying before, any type of physical issue or problem is first of all related to something emotional and spiritual. But if we want to attack it from just the physical standpoint, the first thing that you want to do is look at diet and exercise. Okay.
Mm.
And so with diet, we're all eating, and I'm guilty of it too, still guilty of it, eating a lot of processed food, eating a lot of sugars, all of these things. And these are all toxins that are going into our body. Okay. Alcohol, all of that. And so you're going to have a lot of physical issues as a result of putting all these processed foods into you. So in order to correct for that problem, first you need to detox. You need to get rid of all of that stuff that's in there. And so I always recommend people to detox for at least 7 to 14 days. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And, usually you want to be able to flush the major organs. So the kidneys and the liver, you want to get that out. You also want to cleanse the blood. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. I won't spend time talking about that. But you want to detox, and then you want to start to eat more raw foods or live foods, fruits and vegetables, because again, things that are not cooked, because the things that are not cooked are those, again, what you say, high vibratory foods. They have life in them. They literally are life. And so if you're ingesting that, then you're ingesting life.
Yes, absolutely. You're ingesting life. And I think that's and that really connects with the mental as well, because food can not only heal your physical, but the mental, the brain, the mental issues that people may have. It can actually heal that as well.
Absolutely.
And Dr. Johnson, and to get a little deeper, since we're on the topic of the food, epigenetic transfer. I know. I'm trying to hold the gunslinger in.
I'm telling you, getting heavy.
Wait a minute, Jason. But just explain that. Explain the meaning of definition of what you just said.
Well, I mean, the epigenetic transfer. That's the cells, the slaughter of animals. The animals have they're traumatized, and this meat is packaged and it is then sold. But cells always keep the memory, and we consume this horror, this trauma, and we wonder why we have all this chaos going on in the world today. And in those memories, those you can attribute that even to slavery, the way that humans, African Americans in particular, were treated. Those genes, those cells were transferred, all the way down our ancestry and our heritage. So there is a way to get rid of it. I mean, you have to do a number of affirmations. You can reverse your RNA, but you have to do repetitive things and speak repetitive positive affirmations of change, and eventually you can sort of break that. But epigenetic transfer is not just me just saying something. This is scientifically proven. Tell them, Doc.
Absolutely. And I wanted to piggyback off something you said about the changing by different affirmations and things that you say. What you're doing is you're actually programming your subconscious mind when you're doing that. Okay. And it's always best to actually do that even early in the morning, like between the hours of 4 and 6 a.m. or right before you go to bed at night. Because when you are asleep and you're dreaming, that's when your subconscious is the most active. So if you're wanting to get the most bang for your buck, play some meditation music and have some positive affirmations and things playing in the background. You will be programming your subconscious for these more positive things. Okay. And so you were getting ready to say something.
No. But after that, I was going to say, let's talk more about Jacob's Ladder also. And so people can understand that, you're in business and all of these things that we're starting to talk about, we're going to have a pretty nice show and plenty more information. But Jacob's Ladder, you actually provide a lot of services. Let's let the audience know.
Okay, so I'm again a clinical psychologist, so I provide testing and assessment for any types of what we would call mental issues or disorders, personality concerns, behavior disorders. I also provide therapy, mental health therapy, for these same types of concerns. But again, I'm a holistic practitioner, so I'm going to provide again our naturopathic services, which provides an assessment of your functioning on all these different levels: spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical. I also do, like I said, the Reiki therapy. So for those that don't know what Reiki is, it's an energy healing technique that we use. And what I have found in using it in conjunction with therapy, especially for people with trauma, for people who can't really talk about their trauma, they don't need to. They can come in and get Reiki therapy where they're not having to talk, and we can still work with them and heal them in that manner.
Go ahead. Go ahead. No.
Okay. And then I keep going. Huh? And so then I also provide, in conjunction with the Reiki therapy, I do what we call crystal healing therapy.
Yes.
So again, this is another way or alternative method of healing that we use to be able to help people with these array of issues. And they don't necessarily have to talk to me. Some people aren't keen on doing that. We can still help you, and you don't have to do all that talking and bearing your soul if you don't want to. Okay, we can still work with you. And then lastly, I am a certified Akashic record reader. And so this is one way to be able to help people discover what their purpose is, what their destiny is, what are some particular blocks that they may have that's going to hinder them from being able to reach this destiny or purpose, or being in alignment for that. So again, I'm hitting you on all cylinders. I'm getting everything for you.
Are you gonna go to us, or am I gonna go?
Well, could you just explain what Akashic reader is, or
Akashic Records? Yes.
The Akasha Records. Okay. So,
but you're an Akashic record reader, correct?
Yes, I am an Akashic record reader.
Okay, what is that?
So let's think of, I try to use this analogy a lot. Think about being in a library, okay? And you're in a library with a bunch of books on a bunch of shelves, okay? The Akashic Records is essentially your soul's library, okay? Over many, many, many incarnations, okay? And then you want to also think about the librarian, okay? The librarian is the one that goes and picks the books off the shelves for the things that you want about your soul. Okay. And so all of us have what we call this Akashic library that records every single memory, every single event, everything of your soul over every incarnation. And you have this librarian who we call our masters, teachers, and loved ones that can go in and pick an event out for you for anything that you want to know. The purpose of the Akashic Records is to honestly help you get into whatever your soul's alignment is for this journey, for this life. Okay. And what a reader does, someone like myself, is I transmit that message to you. So I am the one that gets in touch with the masters, teachers, and loved ones of your soul's library, and then pass the messages on to you for what information you need in order to fulfill your destiny in this life.
And
that is quite amazing.
It's quite amazing. and I'm gonna pull some more out of Doc Trust, so don't worry. So the Akashic Records is also the vibration of your ancestors.
Oh, absolutely.
And you can reach the Akashic Record in a number of ways. You can reach it by astral traveling. You can reach it by the methods that Dr. Johnson was speaking of. You can sort of maybe go into your heart space, and then you can meditate, and you can get there. But they know who you are. When you get there, they know you. But you have to, Dr. Johnson, I'm just saying, you have to make sure that you're asking the right questions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the other important thing about the records is that it's only going to take you a step or two ahead. Okay. Typically it meets you where you are, and then it gives you things a step or two ahead. It's not going to ever overwhelm you. Okay, because you may not be ready for everything, if you think about it, every single event that's been recorded, okay, most of us are not ready for that. Okay, so again, it's going to meet you where you are and give you a step or two ahead in order to answer whatever question you may have. And again, everything is in the purpose, for the purpose of getting you in alignment.
So
is this a form of channeling? Let me just say really quick. Is that a form of channeling?
You can look at it that way, yes.
To get to that place.
But we really look at it as a term of divination. A reading. But I'm the person that would be necessarily kind of channeling for you. Again, getting that information from those record keepers, as we like to say.
So we have the inquisitive audience at home. They're saying Akashic Records. Okay, well, what page do I go to? What? Give me the address.
What question should I ask?
Exactly. So, Dr. Johnson, how did you calm your mind? How did you begin to understand how to even get there? What did you have to do?
So again, I think it's just following your soul's journey. One thing I always say is I try to listen to spirit at all times. Everything that I have done up until this point, my spirit has led me to it. Okay. And whenever I had a question, just even about myself, spirit's like, go over here, do this, get in contact with this person, or they'll bring something or someone to me. So to answer your question about the Akashic Records, I wanted personally to raise my vibration. I said, I want to be on the highest frequency that I can possibly be on. How can I go about doing that? And then I ran into someone who was an actual Akashic Records teacher. And she's Black, by the way, so I was happy about that. Wow. So somebody, that looks like me. And so, again, because I was seeking that, God brought it to me. Okay. Wow. And that was the question. I wanted, what do I need to do to be at my highest vibration? How can I accomplish that? Go into your Akasha Records.
So we'll get back to that, but then we're going to get right back to that. But I want to break this down because the audience. Okay, so you were asking God, how can I raise my vibration? And then this person showed up. But Tereska, all of the things that we've talked about in the last 8 episodes, and a lot of that was about the law of attraction. It was about bringing things to you if you were intending on raising your vibration. Talk to me, Tereska.
Well, exactly, because we know that the key is high vibrations because we are energy. We're made of energy, and we know light. And when we know that we know that there's a cause and effect, and we cause it all. So we draw things to us. A law of attraction is good and bad. It can be those both levels. But the key is for us is to raise the vibration, which is more the positive part of it. That's where the abundance travels. That's where abundance is and all that kind of thing. And the lower vibrations is where the poverty is.
And if you think it'll happen, and I just want to rewind that so people can know that, Dr. Johnson and Dr. Johnson is not the only professional who's been on this show speaking about their vibration, speaking about connecting. And these are very, very highly intelligent people, but they understand that spirituality is a huge part of who you are.
Yeah. Well, just let me just say that's the hardest thing a person can do, because everybody would be doing it, and even those that are actually trying their best to do this, it's hard to do. It's hard to raise your vibrations. But it's good to know that there are foods, different things you can eat, and different. There's a natural health thing involved in all this, and then there's making up in your mind that you're going to be open to the spirit when you do connect. That you're going to be open to the change, to what he's saying. Your ears have to be open to it. Everything has to be open. So that whole process is daunting for some people. When you say high vibrations, it tends to make people angry sometimes because it's hard for them to get there. So tell me, I'd like to know how can you encourage somebody that has heard about law of attraction and high vibration? how can you encourage them to make those first few steps to getting there?
So, I was just listening to you as you were talking about how some people get really frustrated and upset when they're trying to make this thing happen. And I'll tell you what I tell people all the time: give yourself some grace. Give yourself permission. Take your time.
Yeah.
Because time is an illusion anyway, if we really want to get deep about it. But, you just give yourself, you give yourself permission. You are right where you're supposed to be at this particular time. Yes. And what will be, will be. Okay. Yes. And that frustration, that anger, that anxiety, those are those lower vibratory feelings that actually are keeping you from the thing that you want. But when you take some time, calm your mind, and get to a level of acceptance. Then right where you are right where you're supposed to be. Then that's when those things that you're wanting actually will come to you. Because again, they're up here. You're performing down here. When you have those low vibe feelings, right? But when you give yourself that grace and you give yourself that acceptance, you automatically raise to here where your blessings are, where that abundance is. Absolutely. And then it overtakes you, just like they say how your cup overflows. Okay, when you get here, when you reach here, they're waiting. They're waiting for you, and they overtake you. Okay?
That's interesting because let me just say, because I manifested some simple things because I was open and I actually noticed it a lot of times because we manifest naturally because that's what we do. We're being so manifest. We do that. But I actually noticed that time, particular few times that I manifest, and I realized that I spoke a thing like the Bible tells us, speak those things that are not as though they were. I wish I had, I wanted to have this, but then I left it alone. I thought nothing of it after that, and I just moved on. And then it just, showed up. And I was like,
that's
wow.
Right.
And then I would backtrack to see how that happened. I said, okay. So the thing is just like you said, decide a thing, declare a thing, decree a thing, whatever, and then just let it go and move forward. And believing that it is going to happen. It's surrendering. Absolutely. It's just, and then walking in grace and love and knowing that everything is okay. It's okay where I am.
Absolutely.
So let's acknowledge the guest. I'm not the guest, but the audience. Dee says wonderful that she really loves this, and Mrs. Clayton says she loves it. Kara Clemens says absolutely amazing. And here's Mrs. Clayton again. I feel like I'm ready for that experience. I'm in a flow, and the synchronicities in my life have brought me to this moment. For this purpose. It sounds like she's already getting there, Doc.
Yeah, she's already there.
Yeah, already there. She already woke. But Doc, when we think about, and we're gonna stay on the Akashic Record, but I want to talk about Reiki and how Reiki all of a sudden is this new thing to do. But the Akashic Records, you raise your vibration. Yeah, you were looking for a way to express yourself more, and then you met Akashic Record reader, a teacher who taught you how to do it, and now you understand what you're doing, and you've been using these records. For people who can you kind of give us an example on? Well, I had this patient, or I had this cousin, or I had my auntie. And I went into the records, and here's how I use them. Can you give us kind of a little quick rundown on how you use them once you're in there?
So the typical person who is even interested in Akasha record reading are people who are seeking. Yes. They're seekers. Okay. And they are just, again, looking for their purpose. There might be some confusion about some things, and they're seeking some clarity. Okay. And so the typical questions that I will get will be like, well, what is my purpose? What is my destiny? Should I be with this particular person or not? Is this, what are some blocks that I may have that's keeping me from whatever it is that I need to do? Okay. And so those are kind of the typical questions. But if you notice, the basis is always somebody seeking something.
Yes.
We're seeking some type of answer that they haven't been able to kind of come up with on their own. So we go in, we first we meditate, we get grounded. Okay. I have to connect with the person. So we usually do some breathing, we'll do a breathing technique and do that together so that we're centered together. I always, always, always have to ask for permission. I think that's very important to mention. You cannot enter a person's records without their permission. So I can't go in, and I can't go in there if they're not with me. Okay, meaning just either virtually or in person. So I can't, while they're asleep, say, "Oh, let me go in Susie May's records." That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen.
Okay.
They have to be present with you, and they have to give you permission to do so. Okay, and then I kind of go into a meditative or trance-like state, and I'm able to, whatever questions they have, I will ask their what we call masters, teachers, and loved ones. And we typically can't ask a lot of time-related questions because, again, we're in the Akashic Records, which is in the etheric field. Time doesn't exist.
It sure doesn't.
Right.
It's only in the present. They're only going to be talking about the present. So we don't really ask a lot of time-related questions. It's more about what does this person need to do to get whatever it is that wherever they need to go, or whatever answer it is that they're seeking. And remember, we only meet them where they're at and give them maybe a step or two ahead.
Okay.
And then the hint for the audience is,
That's good.
when you read your own records, it's really to, look at what path should you be heading on based on previous lives, just to try to see if you're aligned and you're heading in the right direction. And I know that's maybe a lot to swallow for some folks, but that's really the purpose. Well, not the purpose, but that's really how you should use it, unless you're working with a client.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, we do have a purpose to feel here on Earth because we're here for a purpose. And I, after having one of my Reiki classes, I did a session, healing session. But one of the purposes,
you did galactic energy healing.
I did galactic energy. I did it mixed up.
It's a difference.
Anyhow, one of my purposes is to bridge the gap between people, unity and love, and kind of help bridge that thing. And it's interesting with all the different ideas that I had business-wise that actually can be used, I discovered, to do just such a thing. So I thought that was quite interesting. But that's the reason why it's important that we all know our purpose, because we're here for a reason. And it's one of the things maintain the earth and just help every person meet their goals, for which they were here. We're connected in that way and for that reason.
Absolutely. I often will tell people your purpose is, number one, to enhance humanity. That's your purpose. That's everybody's purpose, is to enhance humanity. But then you have a particular niche, a particular way in which you're supposed to do that. Okay.
Right.
So you have to figure out what that particular niche is that you have, but that you are servicing humanity or enhancing humanity while you do it.
Absolutely.
For the greatest good of all.
I want to hear more about, if we can, the crystal therapy, because that's another thing that I don't know a whole lot about.
But what the question is, before she gets into that, Reiki is something like buying these. Remember how the females wear the high jeans? They come up the waist jeans. Okay, so I'm trying to relate that because COVID-19 hit, and it's still here, but it's sort of subsided somewhat. And I don't want to trivialize it, but it's still with us. But we're moving more with society. But there's a shift. Something has happened, Dr. Johnson, and people are awakening. The churches are still thriving, but people are online more. People are looking at alternative ways of getting information and trying to build their spirituality. And you see a lot of these modalities becoming popular when they've been here for centuries, for hundreds and thousands of years. But Reiki is one of them. Can you dig deeper into Reiki? And we know that you told us that crystal therapy is one of the individual modalities that's within Reiki. Can you can you dig deeper into Reiki and let's have that conversation?
Well, just kind of talking about the COVID-19 thing, the pandemic. First and foremost, Mother Earth sat everybody down.
Yes.
Okay. Mother Earth said, I'm tired of you abusing me. So I'm going to sit your butt down, okay, while I repair myself because you are not helping me repair.
Yes. Right. My God.
That's the way I look at it. Okay.
No, she's literally saying Mother Earth, not just a figurative speech. Mother Earth's consciousness. She's literally talking about Mother Earth as a conscience. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Said, you guys are not helping me repair. So I'm going to sit y'all down while I repair myself. Okay. And so what happened as we were sitting ourselves down and we didn't have all of these external distractions that we typically had access to, we had no choice but to start looking at ourselves and looking within, which is why a lot of these alternative practices have all of a sudden became so popular, because most alternative practices are not dealing with external forces. They are dealing with being able to look within, heal within, listen within, all of these different things. Okay. So when we talk about Reiki, Reiki is, again, an energy healing technique that you are using with your hands. I often will say, you remember your grandmama or great grandmama, they would put, when you felt sick, they would put their hands on your forehead or put their hands on your stomach.
Their hands on you.
And you would feel better. There was something about that love coming from grandma or great grandma when you feeling bad and they put those hands on you. That love was felt through those hands. And I often will say that that's what Reiki is like, because you are actually taking the love, the connection with the divine, and transmitting that to that person. Okay. We will typically do work with the chakras. I'm pretty sure you guys have talked about chakras on the show.
We've talked about chakras, but we need a whole show on chakras.
Not in detail.
Right. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. But again, we focus on the 7 major energy centers, which are the chakras, but also just even other areas of the body. Okay. And try to make sure, number one, that those energy centers are functioning properly. Okay. Functioning properly, because those energy centers are related to your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. Okay. So we're making sure that they're functioning properly, and also making sure that you don't have any other kind of ailments, aches and pains. And so you are using the Reiki practices, Reiki techniques in order to do that. Crystal therapy is used in conjunction with Reiki oftentimes by also using Mother Earth's greatest gifts, right? Or we call them crystals, we call them rocks, whatever you want to call them. But each thing has its own vibratory frequency. Okay. Yes. And so we use crystals along with Reiki in order to provide that extra oomph, that extra power, that extra healing, that extra whatever you need along with the Reiki session.
So, Dr. Johnson, am I allowed to say that crystals are actually alive in
absolutely
the 5th and 6th dimension?
Yes.
You look at them as rocks here, but they are actually living consciousness.
They are. And they hold frequency. They hold certain vibrations, which is why it's also important to see where you're getting your crystals from. If you're getting your crystals from a place where there was a lot of violence, killing, murders, you probably don't want to get crystals from there, because those crystals are holding that vibration.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. You need to be very mindful where you get your crystals from. If you need to be mindful of whether or not you're getting man-made crystals. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Versus something that's naturally occurring in Mother Earth. Okay.
Yes.
But they're just used as another tool.
And when you use crystal therapy, you're maybe using those crystals because they all have different properties for maybe the different types of ailments that the client may have. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is correct. So, for instance, if a client is having difficulties with stability or security, that means he or she is having issues with their root chakra. Some crystals that would be associated with that would be like tiger's eye or carnelian or something like that, that has some kind of grounding and stability type of properties in it. So again, there's a whole science to it. So they're not just pretty things, they actually have a function. So you want to be able to do a little bit of research. I like to wear crystals. I've got crystals on now. I've got tiger's eye on. I've got quartz, so it's just, again, they're not just something pretty to wear or pretty to look at. They actually have a function. They actually have a vibration that you want to tune into.
Can I share my favorite crystal with you?
Absolutely.
You're like 23.
Ooh, yes. Okay.
I found out about Your Light 23 during the pandemic. I was reading a book called Forbidden Knowledge by Jason Quick, and he was a crystal dealer, and he was traveling to New Mexico to a show, and him and his girlfriend got to the show, and they were perusing down the aisles looking for crystals, and she walked by a crystal that spoke to her. And she's like, whoa, what was that? And she went and got Jason, and he came back and he looked at it and he said, we need to get that. What's the name of this crystal? And you can only get this crystal in Canada, in the mountains of Canada. So they were driving they were taking a long drive back. And Jason Quick he was a hearer. He could hear, he could see, he was a seer. The crystal, they were lost. The crystal spoke to him and gave him the right directions on how to get back on track. So Your Light 23 is my favorite crystal.
Wow.
Well, I want to ask you a question. When we remove crystals from the cave, I was told by an instructor that crystal loses a lot of its power and its zest because we removed it from its home, its family. It has consciousness.
Absolutely.
When people they're selling these crystals in those stores, how do you recharge them? Are you able to get the properties that they have for healing? Are you able to still use those? Because the person was telling me that they're afraid. It's just like a baby calf. Chloe Moore's Tereska. Remember Chloe Moore's? She was channeling with a baby calf, and her book is called The First 100 Days. And the life of a calf. And she basically told us on our second show that they're scared, and they don't know what's going to happen. So these crystals have consciousness as well. And my thing is, if they're losing some of their strength and some of their properties that are for healing, how do we handle that? How do we get past that to effectively have them help humans?
So one of the things you want to do is you want to put them back in their natural element. So a lot of times I will put my crystals in the ground.
Okay.
I will literally put them in the earth, or if I'll go to a large body of water and put them. So I'm near Galveston. I'm in Houston. So I'm near Galveston, about 45 minutes away. Okay. And I will take my crystals and put them in the ocean and let them recharge that way. You can put them in sunlight. You can put them in moonlight. But you want to put them, again, with these natural occurring elements. They're not with their home per se, but they can get some semblance of that recharge when you put them in their natural elements.
Well, could you also communicate with them as well as assurance and love on them the way that you can talk to them, you can give them that assurance and love. You can be their home. You can kind of give that comfort to them.
Absolutely. Well, you want to do
that. I have no idea, but I'm just assuming.
Yes, no, absolutely. You do. You actually want them to connect to you. So one thing that you do is, of course, you hold them, you speak to them, you speak your intentions into them. You can sleep with them under your pillow, so that they're able to connect with you and your energy. Absolutely.
It's almost like being abducted by a extraterrestrial, Tereska, and they take you to planet, to wherever, and you're scared out of your mind. So if they're talking to you, look, we're not going to hurt you. You see, I
look at them as me speaking to the animals, or speaking to holding the tree and talking to nature. I mean, I feel that's the same thing because it has a consciousness. They're living things. So just like I talk to plants, and you want to make them feel good because you want to exude love to all of God's living creatures. Period. So
Let's get to the
that's what I see.
Let's get to the comments. Mrs. Clayton says, I felt my hands get hot many times when my spirit is full, stimulated, or activated. This first happened to me when I was 12 or so. Is that healing energy from Reiki?
It certainly can be if she wants to direct it that way. But what she's saying is that she's connected to the divine. Okay. And when we're connected to the divine, one of the most common ways of knowing that is you get hot.
That happens to me too.
You get hot, and I'm not talking about hot flashes. Okay,
I know. I get that healing. I did that in my hands as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But that is something that you can definitely use for Reiki. It's letting you know that you are connected completely to the divine at that particular time. Absolutely.
Dr. Johnson, when you're doing regular therapy for a patient who's maybe having some mental issues, you start off, I'm assuming, just regular technique, board certified things that, you've learned being a doctor. And when do you say, I need to pull out my back cape and put my mask on and go spiritual? How does that work?
So, with every patient, I meet them where they are. Okay. So if they give me any inkling that they're needing something a little more, which it usually comes out with some type of phrase that kind of clues me into that they're needing a little more, then that's when I come out with the back cape. But honestly, the type of people that are coming to me now, they're already seeking that. They're saying, when they're calling me on the phone, they're like, I need something else. I've been to therapy before.
Yes.
I need something else.
That's amazing.
And it's, you're the person I've been looking for because you're advertising that you do all of this. I've done the regular stuff before. I need something else. So that is what I've had come to me probably for the past 3 years now. So I'm starting out the gate with the spiritual stuff, really. Because that's who's coming. That's what they need.
Yeah, the asking is there because people are not necessarily trusting what the world's way anymore.
Right. Exactly.
They're seeking more of the.
Right. We're going to reset. If you're just logged in, you're listening to I'm Woke. I am Tim Metal and the terrestrials. We have the wonderful, wonderful Dr. Keisha Johnson, and her website is www.jacobsladderpsych.com. And Dr. Johnson has been speaking about an array of topics. We were just talking about Reiki healing. We spent some time speaking about the Akasic Records. Obviously, that helps. You understand your past and understand how to shape your future. And Dr. Johnson is also a mental health therapist. So Dr. Johnson, you were speaking about grounding, and in some of these terms, I'm writing them down. I'm like, let me kind of go back to them so they can really get the full understanding, because there are a lot of pieces that actually go with a lot of different techniques that you use. In grounding, love, high vibration is mixed in all of them, but in particular, let's dig into grounding just for 1 second. Not too long, but let the audience know what you mean by that.
So grounding is actually a very common term in the psychology world because it's something that is used for people who suffer from anxiety. Okay. And all grounding really means is being centered and calm. And there are a lot of different ways to go about doing that. But one common thread is to make sure that at least your hands are touching the ground, touching the earth, touching a tree, okay, or sitting down in the grass, on the ground, have your back up against a tree. Okay. And the reason I keep mentioning the ground, which is why we call it grounding, is because you have so many chakras or energy centers all throughout the body, but the majority of them are in your hands and feet. And so when you are actually putting your hands on the ground or your hands on a tree, you are actually allowing that nervous energy to exit your body and go into the earth, go into a tree, which is rooted in the earth. Okay. So it's actually taking that energy out of you and then replacing it with good, positive energy, which automatically calms you down. Okay. Not only are we talking about the energy centers and that leaving your body, also the breath is important. Okay. So breathing is also something that's very important with grounding. And just talking about breathing is life.
Thank you.
Breathing
I was going to say, get into that.
Okay. And so when you are able to slow your breathing down, which is what we teach them in grounding, you are actually letting out that negative energy, that nervous energy, okay, in your body. You're breathing it out. And then when you're breathing in, you're taking in that nice, good, positive energy from your environment, from the earth. Okay. So that's why we typically say, go outside,
And do it.
and do those particular types of techniques, because we're talking about a reciprocal relationship. Okay. You giving out, I need you to take this out of me. I'm not centered.
Yes.
Take this out of me and then replace it with something more positive to calm me down and to be able to relax.
And it's helped. I've been doing that for the last 2 weeks, and it's really helped me a whole lot. I've never gone outside and do, I like I said, I like nature and everything, but to go out there and really have an intention, and it changed the way. I mean, it changed me. I felt the difference and all. It was
you mentioned you were attracted to a particular tree, and I said I was
getting
ready to go back to that. So you said, well, maybe I was giving it some healing energy. Actually, the tree was giving you
healing energy.
Healing energy. You were attracted to a particular tree because that tree called you over to it and said, "I've got what you need." So that's why you went and you put your hands on it,
or that tree, and it's the same
tree. Okay. So the tree was giving you what you needed. That's why you were attracted to it.
That's awesome.
So we're gonna spend a little bit of time. It's so much to talk about, and I know we're not gonna be here all night, but the breath.
Yes.
See, the breath.
Breath of life.
Is it okay to say that there are certain breath techniques, and the one I have been practicing is Kalapate breath, that can move you into another dimension? And
yes.
Okay. So the right breath technique mixed in with the meditation can take you somewhere, people, that you'll be like, oh my God, where am I? But the breath is very important when it's time to ground, and also helping you get to the stage or the place you need to be while you're meditating. So I just want to highlight that too.
Yes. So the breath and meditation can take you places that drugs and alcohol don't need to take. Okay. You don't need to do that in order to go there. Okay. All you need to do is breathe and be still for a little bit, and you can go there. Okay.
Miss Clayton has another, she's active. I like it when, hey, audience, go ahead and send your questions, because we're going to wrap it up in a minute and get these questions out to Dr. Johnson. She's been great, but Miss Clayton, it says, okay, thank you. But it first happened at church. She said it first happened at church. I've been moved to lay hands on others for healing prayers and literally felt energy flow through me. I know God was showing me a glimpse of my purpose.
Absolutely. I don't think it was a glimpse. I think God is definitely showing her what direction she needs to go into.
Dr. Johnson, looks like you have some fans. Truly amazing. This episode needs to be part 2. Tell Latasha you need to come back, because there's a lot to talk about.
Absolutely. I would love to come back.
So Tereska, go ahead, Tereska. I know you know you.
Well, it was funny you talking about breath. I was telling people, don't try that what you just did at home, or you would pass out probably. You have to
Yes, you can.
I can see it since that passing out doing that short breaths like that. So definitely don't try it at home. Y'all get some study on that, the breathing technique. But I've learned that breathing has given me life. I was anxious and had all that tension built up, and I'm one that won't breathe. I have my watch to tell me to breathe. So I have to release and let go. So I've been going through a lot of, releasing and all that kind of stuff, just trying to get in a place of peace and just relaxation. So, but the breathing is very, very, very important.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Absolutely.
Dr. Johnson, can you leave us, our audience, with just some words of wisdom? I mean, this went by so fast.
It did.
Our audience with word of wisdom, and I promise, audience, I'm gonna get Dr. Johnson back because she has some more to say and she knows it.
Did you put the website up? Everything? Her website is up.
Yes, right there. It's www.jacobsladderpsych.com, and people, please reach out to Dr. Johnson. And sometimes, African Americans, we don't really want to admit that something may be wrong. Someone's talking to me, or what's going on with me. I'm not feeling myself. Call Dr. Johnson and have a conversation.
It's always okay to talk to someone else outside of your circle.
Absolutely. I'm trying to think words of wisdom. The best words of wisdom I can give people is to be true to themselves.
Yes.
Be true to themselves. So be authentic. When you are authentic, you are allowing yourself to get in alignment with your destiny and your purpose. But when you're authentic, know that there's going to be some changes. There's going to be some transitions if you haven't been able to do that up until this point. But just when you're authentic, you are flowing with spirit. You are connecting with the divine. When you are true to yourself, that is the connection to the divine. And that's all you have to be concerned about. The rest is up to you.
Okay, and Dr. We really appreciate it. I'm gonna tell you guys, Dr. Johnson had me on the waiting list. We had to wait almost a month to get on this show. So if you want to get with Dr. Johnson, you better call her. You better get on her website, and you need to get in line. But she is absolutely
awesome,
amazing. And I'm going to be calling you because I want to, and I don't know if you have the course, but I want to learn the ways of the Akashic record from you. I've just had a wonderful conversation with you, and I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it right now.
Yes. Awesome. We'll talk.
Okay, Dr. Johnson, thank you so much. I'm gonna go ahead and finish the show up, but
appreciate you. Thankful for your thing. Appreciate you.
All right. Take care. You all have a great night.
You too. Thank you so much. Okay. Okay. You unpack this.
I love that. I mean, I just love the way. I mean, the basics of it all. Because you have to be able to go to her, and in order to be able to move toward holistic healing, crystal healing, or delve into Reiki master, or natural health, rejuvenation, all that. In order to do that, you have to be true to yourself, and just gotta open up and know that there's something more that you need.
True to yourself,
to expand, to grow.
Everything we've talked about, everything that we've given to the audience up until now has been about being true to yourself, which translates into love in your heart. It translates into having that light, moving light into your heart, into your body.
Right.
And from there, understanding how to meditate. And I say this over and over, how to be still and let yourself feel. A big part of understanding the Akashic records is feel. And you have to believe. And none of these spiritual modalities will work if the belief system is not there.
Right. And it's not being afraid, and then not being afraid to move into the spirit realm. Not being afraid of that. We're used to being preached to, talked to, sitting there, so somebody, give us, filling us information with the word of God or whatever it is. But we never really sit down And that's what the pandemic did, Jason. We never really sat down and saw what was within us.
Well,
And
that's what Mother
so,
Earth did.
yeah,
If you
yeah,
paid attention, what Dr. Johnson
we
said,
had that exactly.
but Mother Earth is like, we may have brushed over it, but Mother Earth, she's just not saying a term. She's speaking of Mother Earth consciousness. I mean, there are channelers out there that connect to the conscience of the Earth. The Earth is living. The Earth is a living body.
Yeah, well,
And I know it's hard to wrap your head around that, but you can actually channel the conscience of the Earth. And she's a very, very, very highly intelligent being that really, really, wants this planet to be what she envisioned it to be, what she envisioned it to be. These is where you find different breathing techniques. You can actually go on YouTube and just keyword search breathing technique. The Kalapate breath, I learned from an instructor on a app called Gaia. Gaia is an app, Gaia. And you go on that app and there are dozens of meditation instructors, and one in particular, and I don't want to butcher his name, but he was teaching the Kalapate breath, and the breath technique alone in meditation or in any type of spiritual technique, which, like you say, the Akashic Records takes your mind into a different way and then a different realm. So very, very important. Tosca, do you want to leave the audience with a few words before I close this thing out?
I think that it was wonderful that Dr. Johnson was able to give us both worlds. She's educated from the psychology aspect of the world, and then she was able to merge that, and she is able to merge that with the spiritual part of the world. And that's what we're basically here to do, be able to live in both worlds, and how she can help you move you forward to growth. That's what it's all about. We're here to move for abundance, to positive abundance, not just abundance, but positive abundance. So,
what I wanted to ask Dr. Johnson was crystal therapy.
Yeah.
But then we have microscopic crystals in our brains. But you heard her talk about crystals hold their vibration. Yeah. But then if they're in our brains as well, crystals are microscopically in our brains. What sort of frequency? Why do we have them there? And crystals are also in radios. That's how radios tune frequencies with the aid of crystals. But we have that in our brains. Right. People need to wake up, and people are woke. So, Trusca, I'm going to go ahead and move you out, and we'll pick back up in the back room. We're very, 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 very excited about what happened here tonight, and I'm going to read from Ms. Clayton. This episode was so wonderfully dense. Be still, breathe. Akashic Records, Reiki healing, crystal healing, and living in our authentic selves. Stay connected to the divine. Thank you so much. And you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome, Ms. Clayton. And I want to challenge you guys. Go to jasonmedlock.com. Go to our YouTube channel. I'm Woke. Subscribe. We have a Facebook page. I'm Woke. Subscribe. We're going to be bringing you different types of modalities. We're going to be talking about different types of spirituality or spiritual gifts that we all have. There's nothing special about Dr. Johnson. She worked hard at her gifts. There's nothing special about myself, nothing special about Tereska or any of the contributors that come on the show. We are, all of us are divine, and we work hard at our gifts, and we practice. And that's what you can do too. Practice meditation. Practice calming yourself, getting into that place. Think about starting at the top of your head, moving down slowly. Maybe it's an elevator. Maybe it's a slide. Maybe it's a staircase. Walk down that staircase, get on that elevator within yourself, and move down to your heart space. Open the door and sit inside of your heart space. Once you visualize that, now you're in a place where you can connect, where you can find out how to move your life forward which direction you want to move in and how you want to move in. And it's just so amazing. And there's just so many different ways to figure out what your purpose is. But I want to thank you guys for being with us tonight. And this has been fabulous. We'll be back next Tuesday. Our guest next Tuesday will be fabulous as well. But we love you guys. Thank you for supporting us. And I just want to say good night. And we will be back. We will be back. This is a great show. This is an absolutely great show. So we're going to go ahead and close it out. And again, thank you. And you've been listening to I'm Woke. I'm Jason Medlock. And to get more information about us, join our YouTube page, join our Facebook page, and www.jasonmedlock.com. We will see you next week.